Good evening and welcome to the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids pregame show. The Miramichi Timberwolves are in town to face off against the Rapids for one of the last times this season here at the Seps, and this is going to be a game that is much highly anticipated. It's going to be an action-filled one, and one that's very exciting for a couple of different reasons. We're going to talk about all things, including what's to come of the matchup, as well as the other game that the Rapids are taking this weekend coming up as well on Sunday. But first things first, we're going to get into the tail of the tape. You know what time it is. The Grand Falls Rapids this season so far off to a 1-7-1 start in their last 10 games. Have struggled a little bit, but they are coming off of a huge 3-0 victory over the Fredericton Red Wings. 10-24, 1-6 on the season. The Miramichi Timberwolves, on the other hand, 25-14, 0-3. Leading the charge for the Rapids, Jonah Laird in goals, assists, and total points. 23 goals, 32 assists, and 55 total points. On the other side, Jacob LaFontaine, for the Miramichi Timberwolves, 27 goals, and Justin David with 42 assists and 64 points overall. Looking a little bit further into the depth stats, the Grand Falls Rapids 135 goals for, 180 goals against. That's a goal differential of -45. And the Miramichi Timberwolves 160 and 137 for a goal differential of +23. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about the power play stats as well, but I want to just focus on one thing for now. Now, the Rapids power play, obviously, as of the other game against Fredericton on Wednesday night, it was largely, aside from Derek Bird's goal, pretty ineffective, but they did manage to strike on the power play. This is really going to have to come into effect against the Miramichi Timberwolves. They've got the second-ranked penalty kill in the North Division at 81.4%, and their power play, however, Miramichi's power play ranks at 19.1%, putting them at 4th place, only ahead of Grand Falls and Fredericton, not by much, though. The Rapids have a 16.4% rating on the power play, which is the fifth ranked power play in the division, second worst, only basically tied with Campbellton for 5th worst. And of course, they sit in 5th place on the penalty kill as well, 77.5%. Now, special teams, I don't think are really going to make a lot of a difference in this game. Miramichi's got a stellar penalty kill. Grand Falls, their power play has been a little bit lackluster, but their penalty kill has been almost immediately better. Looking at the storylines for this game, Miramichi's got a 6-1-0 series lead during the season, and this is a game, or this is a rivalry that this season you've seen time after time after time. The Rapids have either lost in the shootout, lost in regulation, or on the rare occasions they have a win, which was the one time. Now, people are going to look at that stat and they'll think, it's going to be a dominant performance for the Timberwolves yet again, just based on how they're winning in the stats. Now, I want to emphasize this a little bit. Miramichi is winning in the series 6-1-0, yes, but 4 of those games went to a shootout. So technically, and it came down to the last shot too, it was closer than you think. The Rapids were not dominated in those games. They were not getting the snot beat out of them every game. It came down to one final shot in the shootout. Now, had those shots gone the other way, the Rapids would obviously have a 5-2 record in this division rivalry, but that's not the case. Miramichi has not dominated Grand Falls. Yes, they got the upper hand in the games that they have won, but they're not a team who can come in and just ransack the team and leave. This is a team that Grand Falls has played very, very well this entire season so far. There have only been 2 losses this season that they've gotten away with, that Miramichi's gotten away with, and made them not even close. And that was the home opener, which was a 7-4 loss. And the first game that they played in Miramichi, that was a 5-2 loss for the Rapids. All of the other games have been close, either overtime or a shootout, and it was fantastic the way that these two teams have played each other. They have such a great dynamic. Now, the other thing is the Rapids have a chance to play spoiler with the Valley Wildcats. As you can recall, they traded their first-round pick at the draft to the Valley Wildcats, and currently that's the 3rd overall pick. So you want to try and finish as high as you possibly can to to try and make sure that they don't get 2 top 3 picks, but instead kind of lower them down a little bit. Now, that would also require a couple of teams in the East Link South Division to win too, but it's not as much of a sense of urgency. So with that said, we're going to look at the feel of the game, how this is going to go. These two teams, obviously, we know are quite vicious. They're not afraid to throw the body. And quite honestly, I mean, we've seen this all season long. These two teams aren't afraid to throw down. They aren't afraid to get into fights. They're not afraid to throw big hits. They aren't afraid to go out there and stick check and, play a little bit on the rougher side of the puck. And it could be a very high-scoring game as well. As we've seen a lot of the times, it was 5-4 or 6-5, or most of those scores were what happened in the games this season. So I would anticipate that it's going to be a very high-scoring affair as well. Now, with this, the Rapids have, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, is that the Rapids have a double-edged sword in their hand. Now, what do I mean by that? Yes, I did say double-edged sword. Miramichi has a couple of things that are going to happen this weekend. Now, they're coming into Grand Falls, and let's say that the Rapids win tonight. West Kent wins. Now the Steamers pull ahead by 2 points, and that's going to be a huge, huge thing for them as well, because they're obviously trying to catch them and get ahead. They're currently tied for second place with 53 points each. And the other thing is Campbellton rolls into Miramichi to play the Timberwolves at home tomorrow, and that will give them an opportunity to, because Miramichi is going to be tired by the time they get back on the road tonight or tomorrow. They have a back-to-back. That's something that obviously some teams don't always play as well on a back-to-back. Now, that gives an opportunity for Campbellton to come in and get an easy 2 points as well. Now, the other thing is, like I was mentioning with the pick, is that you can kind of screw over the Valley Wildcats in that respect too, because you're winning and getting ahead of teams, but also not quite screwing them entirely. So with that said, you're basically putting the Miramichi Timberwolves in a bit of a chokehold situation, because you're not only kind of helping West Kent get some more points, but you're helping Campbellton also gain some ground on them as well, in a very just albeit tight division race. So that's something that you want to look forward to. Keep your eye on the scoreboard tonight, because that's going to be a huge possibility for both teams to come out ahead tonight. The keys to the game for the Grand Falls Rapids: stay disciplined. You know that Miramichi is going to come out and they're going to try and get under your skin. They've got guys who are able to do that. Justin David, Jacob LaFontaine. We've seen these guys in the past couple of games that that they can try and get under your skin. Let them just be the ones to draw the penalties and don't get sucked into what they're selling you. The second game, or the second point of the game, get past Jack Flanagan at all costs. You know that he's a goalie who can get dialed in very easily. Don't give him an excuse to get dialed in. Pop that first goal and just keep firing an onslaught of shots. It will help you throughout the course of this game. Third key to the game: just have fun and play your game, because you think about it this way, right? All the pressure, all of everybody talking and saying this is whatever. Forget the pressure, forget all the expectations. Just go out there, have fun, play your game, and do what you do best, and just play solid, play hard, and bring them the fight. That's exactly what they have to do. We're going to move into the Rapids Heat Index segment next, and this is the very first time that we're actually going to be featuring two players on the Rapids Heat Index instead of one this week. And the players of the week to get these honors are none other than Braden Campbell and Derek Bird. Now, Derek Bird had the icebreaker and the eventual game winner, what would be considered the game winner on Wednesday night against the Fredericton Red Wings, off of a power play goal, which was very impressive. If you haven't seen that goal already, I would encourage you to go and watch it back. It was fantastic, just chef's kiss classic. The other one was Braden Campbell, and he had an assist, a pivotal assist. It was the second goal of the game that the Rapids scored against the Red Wings as well. And without him making that play, that goal obviously does not happen. So Derek Bird and Braden Campbell, they've been two players who time and time again have showed up when the team needs them to, and they have played fantastic this season. They may not always get on the scoreboard, but it's not always about getting scoring stats in. It's your forecheck, it's your back check, and I know what you're thinking. And yes, it is eventually going to be the results they want to see. So with that being said, those two players, they've done fantastic this season. It's no question about it, not even close. And I think it's very well deserved that these two get on the Heat Index for this week. Stay tuned for this game Sunday, and coming up next Friday, we are going to show you the next edition of the Rapids Heat Index as we get closer to the end of the season. This is going to be a huge stretch of season left. There's 3 weeks left in the regular season before playoffs start. And there's a lot of opportunity to catch some games. The Rapids still have 6 home games after this, and I'm very excited for what this team is going to look like going out of this season and coming into next season as well. Now, I'm going to move into the question of the game as well this game. We've already got a couple of good answers. We'll share some on the post-game show as well. And my question of the game is, in the spirits of the regular season coming to a close and playoffs rolling around, who is your dream opponent for the Grand Falls Rapids to face in the playoffs? Can be any team, any division, any round. Let me know in the comments below or message me on Facebook directly. Put anything, any sort of comments down there, and we will share it on the Grand Falls Rapids post-game show here right after the game. That's going to do it for this edition of the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Rapids pregame show, and we are going to see you right here after the game, and we're going to talk all things Rapids, the results of the game, and give you a preview into Sunday's game and what this could mean for the Rapids, holding that double-edged sword that they so sternly hold for this game tonight.